Great. So let's read the objectives. Let's go to Derek.
Students will learn the basics of es6.
Cool. And then let's go to Sandy for number 2.
Students will get an introduction to React.
Yep. And then 3, Nick.
Students will use Babel to use es6 features not yet available in the browser or Node.
Yeah. So the first objective, learning the basics of es6. So far, we've been using es5 for the most part, except for the only es6 we've done so far is this right here. Let's say we had var A equals 3, var B equals 4, and then if I did A this doesn't make any sense, but what does this output to, Haven?
A3.
Nice. Right, so this is es6 right here. Using these backticks and these $sign curly brackets to interpolate all the strings inside of here. The alternative, the es5 way, would look like this. Do that. Yeah, this is the es5 way right here, which is not as easy as this right here. This is a lot easier to deal with because there's no plus signs. There's no, there's only one starting thing and one ending thing. I mean, one starting thing and one ending thing. Whereas here, I have to end this. I have to start this and end this again, and then make sure the plus signs are all there appropriately. So this was the old way of doing it, the es5 way, and this is the new es6 way of doing it. And I used this a bunch of times only because it was just so much better. So with es6 came out, I think it's kind of like at the end of 2014. It was really new then. And for whatever reason, it still isn't part of the features of es6 still haven't been completely integrated, which is ridiculous. But yeah, when I saw it back then, I was like, this is kind of weird because I have to use a compiler to compile my JavaScript. And I figured no one's going to do this, right? Then people started doing it. And even to this freaking day, I still have to compile it. It's kind of ridiculous.
The V8 engine, they still haven't. It's all based on, I think it's common JS or something, and they have to completely rewrite everything to be this new kind of standard.
Yeah, I mean,
or it's all based on require, but it needs to be common JS. I don't know. There's something.
Yeah, it's a lot of there's like a lot of technical stuff behind it, right? But the founder of JavaScript is now working. I guess his own cryptocurrency or whatever. Yeah, so we're going to learn the new JavaScript right now. And I know we said we're going to get into React. Although you don't need es6 for React, everyone online uses es6 for React. So if you want help with your code, it's all going to be in es6. So you should just use es6 because the community is using es6. And React, so what is React, right? So what is React? You know, if you look online, they'll say it's a front-end framework that lets you manage state easily. That's, I mean, what the hell does that mean, right? So basically, let me make this alternative to React, or before React. So before React, let's say I have a script tag. Pretend I have jQuery here, right? Because I'm not going to look it all up. And And let's say I have, you know what, I'll actually code it out. Let's see. jQuery CDN. Minified. All right, so over here, let's say I have a div tag. A paragraph tag right here, span tag right here, and let's say I have a variable, I have an input up here, right? And let's say display the input value. And over here, display the reverse of the input value. Display the input values vowels. Right? So if I wanted to do something like this, right? If I wanted to do something like this where whatever they type in right here would get put right here, and whatever they type in right here would automatically, in real time, right, get displayed over here in reverse. And also over here, the vowels get put. If I wanted to do this, it's a lot of code. It's a decent amount of code, right? You expect to write maybe 7 or 8, maybe 9, 10, 11 lines of code. Minimum, right? Probably more, probably a lot more. In React, this would be a lot simpler to write. Meaning, what you could do is you could tie the value of this input to a variable, and then as this changes, this automatically changes. As this changes, this automatically changes and is reversed. As this is changed, this right here, the vowels just appear. Right? In React. Oh man, I never thought about it like that. It's not the first framework that did this. There was a framework called Backbone.js. It was in 2011, 2012. If you knew Backbone, you'd get a job somewhere. Nope. Yeah, Backbone.js. It's still used in places. It's a very bare bones thing. It doesn't react automatically. You have to like tell it to do whatever you want it to do. But it helped people organize their code, their front-end JavaScript code a lot. And then in I think it was like 2013, Angular came out. And that's when I started playing around with it in 2013. Angular's by Google. I think this is what your team uses standing, right? Angular, when it first came out, it was pretty easy to use. It was like really, really easy to use. And then they changed it drastically in every version to a totally different framework where it doesn't even look the same at all. It looks a lot, the newer Angular looks very much like React. So once you learn React, you can go into Angular if you want to. The big difference obviously is syntax, but also the community is different. It's a completely different community because you might get used to using certain plugins for React, but there's going to be different plugins for Angular. So you're going to get used to the React community a little bit, but you certainly can gravitate towards Angular. It's very similar. And there's another one called Vue that has taken off, Vue.js. And the reason why this took off is because it's a lot simpler than React. If it's a lot simpler than React, why aren't people using this instead? A lot of people have switched to this. The thing is, there are no big companies that are behind it. You know, with React, it's Facebook. Facebook's behind it, so yeah, people feel a lot safer when they say I'm using React, because if there was a security hole or if there's some huge problem with it, people could just say, well, Facebook used it, so I'm not to blame. Whereas with Vue, people can't say that. I think it's a stupid reason. I think it's what stupid people do, but a lot of people do that. Like stupid people say, like, I just did it because that person did it. It's like you have no reasoning for doing what you just did, but that's what a lot of people do. Yeah, so we're gonna learn React. Why? Because a lot of jobs use React. Like a lot of companies in the Bay Area use React.js. And my original thing around React was you can use React Native, which is really cool. So React Native is a way to build native mobile applications using React syntax. And after you learn the React syntax, I'm going to show you a full app where it has a web interface and a React Native app that all feeds into the same API and has some auth into it. So that's what I'm going to show you guys. And that's the really cool thing about React, because once you learn it, you can use React Native. And although React Native is another beast because it doesn't have HTML in it or CSS, it doesn't have HTML. It has components. It's going to be extremely similar to what we're learning in React. So again, why are we learning React? Because it does stuff like this a lot easier. When one thing changes, everything in the page can automatically change without you having to write any additional code. And when people say state, right here, when people say state, they mean data, right? Like when data changes, then you can make other things react, as Hayden said, right? And then Babel it's a way to compile es6 so that your browsers can read it. So far, we haven't had to compile our code, but with React, with es6, some features in es6 are just not available yet in our browsers. So, do you guys have the file, the zip folder unzipped? So I'm going to go ahead and open up the first thing right here, and let's go to Juthika. What does this code do?
So we was created a variable called name. We gave it a value any, and then we console log name. So it should print out any.
Nice. Yeah, so this is a variable, this is es5 syntax, and we're printing out right here, it's the console, right? And over here, what about this right here? What would print out right here? Let's go to Derek, Nick, Derek. What's going to print out here? Undefined. Nice. Good job, yourself. Right, so let's try it. I'll just open the console and just do it. Right, name, and if I type in name, what the hell? Let me open up an HTML file. What the hell is that? Stuff.html. Do that. Wow, it's why is it empty quotes? What? I guess it's empty quotes. I was wrong about that as well. Wrong. It prints out. And when we do name equals undefined.
You run it in your terminal, though, it gives you.
Yeah. I'm going to just put this note here because of what we just saw. You got undefined in your terminal?
No.
In the console? Okay. Might be my cookies, maybe. Or let me try a different variable. I might have a global variable var n. Well, no, that's just the execution of the statement. Oh, there it is. I think it was the variable name. Yeah, it's probably then a variable name. Cool. I don't know how that happened. All right, what about this one? What's going to print out here on line 1? Let's go to Haven's Aaron. Undefined. So let's try that. What I'll do here is I'll write a new function, I, console log na, var na equals na. And when I run this, it's going to print out undefined on line 2 right here. The reason why we see this undefined is because console logs returns undefined. But this prints out undefined right here on this line. And the reason why is because something called hoisting, when you make a variable with var, right? And you try to call that variable above the variable, right? It's going to be undefined. Go ahead.
What is the difference of undefined?
Is there a not defined?
Yeah.
Question.
I got an error.
Oh, like you get an error and it says not defined. So undefined is like a data type almost in JavaScript. Whereas the error saying not defined it's more of alerting you that this variable was never defined. Right? Undefined is actually a value that a variable can have.
Yeah, beyond
Weird enough, but as not defined, they mean like the variable was never declared ever again. It's weird. So this hoisting behavior, right, where this variable right here is undefined on line 1, this happens with the word var. In es6, it doesn't happen anymore, right? Because this is stupid. This is stupid. I remember my first interview because I just kind of built a website and I didn't really. I was trying to raise money but couldn't. I was like, all right, well, now I'll just get a job because I need money. And went on a few interviews and I was like, they were like, what's this gonna print out? I was like, I don't know, I've never done that before. And they were like, oh, well, it's gonna print out undefined. And I was like, okay, well, why would you do that? He was like, and then the guy was like, you would never do that. I was like, okay, well, in my head, I'm like, why the fuck are you asking me that then? Like, if you're never gonna do that, and I've never done that in my life, and I've never seen anyone do that in code. It's like these weird things that happen in JavaScript that, weirdly enough, you get interviewed on sometimes by people. But they got rid of that in the new JavaScript, which makes complete sense because it makes no sense to do this. When there are functions, though, let's say if I make a function right here, I can call the function below, right? But I can also call it above and it would still work, right? The reason why is because this right here is whenever you mention the word I, it's a reference function. It's not like you're going into the call stack of JavaScript and trying to get to high, right? It's more like it's just a reference. So you can reference that function here below the declaration of the function or above it. Doesn't matter. But for variables, it's different. You can only really access the value underneath, right? And then above, you'll be able to access it. It'll just be undefined. In the new JavaScript, it'll throw a not defined error. It should throw a not defined error above on line 1. Line 4 here, this is interesting. Because we didn't put the word var in front of it, right, there is no hoisting. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Fernando is asking.
Fernando, I can't hear you.
They're muted, I guess.
Can you hear me?
Oh, you're in my headphones. One sec. Hold on.
Hello?
Yeah, give one second. Hold on. So this thing's really messed up. It just turns on. Like, I can't turn it off. It just turns on. And there's no way to turn it off. It's really frustrating.
Oh, it happens.
And then this audio is messed up also.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what was your question, Fernando?
Oh, I completely forgot it at this point, so never mind.
But you heard my story, right?
Yeah, I heard you. I just
That's important.
yeah. But anyways, if you if the order of the code was opposite, like flipped,
Mhm.
then it would show Patrick then, right?
Yeah. Well, over here it would show Connor.
Yeah.
If line 1 was on line 5. Yeah.
All right.
So when you forget the word var in front of a variable, there is no more hoisting, which is really weird. I forget what prints out here and why. Yeah, it gives you an error. So let's see over here. We'll make a function. I'll give this an actual name. Okay, so I'm going to run the stuff function, and it's going to give me an error right here and just tell me that FDJ was never defined, right? Because I forgot the word var in front of it, right? So when you don't put the word var in front of a variable, it's automatically global, meaning you can access FDJ outside. So right now I could do FDJ. Guess not. The hell? I should be able to access FDJ right now. Let me write this in another place. Where's stuff.html? Right here. Okay. So script. Right. So I'll execute stuff. And then, the reason why it failed the reason why I wasn't able to access FDJ here is because this error stopped the execution of the function right here. So let me comment this out right here. Comment that out. It says jogs down. Yeah, it was that error that was causing this console log not working earlier. So no hoisting if you don't put the var in front of it, right? So in case some stupid interviewer asks you this. This behavior, it's interesting enough. This is the kind of behavior you're kind of expecting. And ES6 is the behavior that will happen. ES6 is very much just the way JavaScript could have been written in the first place. It's also friendly for other languages, so like to come over. So there are, let's say you code in Java or C# or C or Python or other language, Ruby. It'll be a lot easier to kind of like become a JavaScript developer using ES6 as opposed to ES5. All right, so went over no hoisting. Yep, went over this. Yeah, so Maricel asked about like, what's the difference between undefined and not defined right here? So if you never have a variable name at all, never had a variable name, and you try to console log that variable name, then it's going to throw this error, name is not defined. Questions on this? Right? If you don't have a variable name, it's like if we call out someone's name right here, Eric, no one's going to answer. Let's see, a charger. Cool. And this is something you might see too in React, which is why I'm going over it. I don't think it's ES6. I It might be ES6. I don't know off the top of my head, but this is definitely something you do see in React. This right here, you'll see use strict, and people say a good security practice is to always use strict, right, in your JavaScript code. This code right here will normally work, right? So if I comment this out, on line 5, it'll print out Manny. On line 5, it'll print out Manny. But as soon as I use strict, it's going to throw an error and say name was not defined. It's going to force you to put var in front of all your variables here. It's also going to force you to use good JavaScript practices in your code. So that's what use strict does. Just forces you to write better code. Yeah, let's see over here. So in this example, it would work, right? When I console log name here, it's going to print out Manny because we put var in front of it. All right, just forcing you to write good JavaScript. Now in line 10, what does this code, let's just, with your partners, just try to figure out what's going to print out after this code runs, right, with your partners, and why. So Nick, you team up with Sandy Maricel, and Saeed, can you partner up with this Kit? Not Kit. Over here, yeah. Leave Kit alone.
Right. Grid not.
Pavan, it's just the for loop. What is the for loop going to print out?
Yeah, what's going to print out on line 3 after like let's say you run this, what's going to print out and why? Like why is that happening also? Good job, Nick. You're right. It is a trick.
Pavan's trying to trick us.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to trick you by saying it's a trick. It is a trick.
Yeah, it's complicated. Although it should be.
Let me see. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's just last time I did this, no one went in. There you go. If anyone online would like to discuss the question, then please jump into the breakout room.
I usually don't jump in because I always miss some discussion in the main room.
Oh, no, totally.
Yeah, team no jump in.
I'll jump in since one person is in there.
I miss one of them stories.
Let me see, right? Where am I now? What the hell? You're welcome to run the code after you figured out your answer and then discuss with your partners why that was the case.
No. Giving me a really weird. Oh, the old one.
Yeah, it's, I can see, because it's.
Yeah, sure. Malta and NYC.
Council log it's saying it says time out, you know, you're supposed to use one, but it's saying your council log before. So if you move it here, it actually does go.
Oh, yeah?
here.
What?
I'm not 20, return 20. Then I'm going to again.
So the otherwise, it's just go back. It's not actually getting that.
Oh, yeah.
So, with five, a lot more it's council, but council.
Oh, yeah.
So it's working on and then provide a racial.
That's good.
I can just get, add that time out.
Don't have the luxury of just small kids jumping.
Synchronous. Because JavaScript is synchronous. The loop might be running. So by the time you actually, I guess I would five.
That's bad as it is.
So let me end the breakout rooms. Oh wait, Nick, you guys done? 5 minutes?
No, we're ready to talk.
You ready to talk? Okay, all right. Why can't I see the breakout rooms? What the hell's going on here? Whoa, what the hell's going on here? I can't end the breakout rooms. What the hell? How do I end the breakout rooms? How do I end this? Oh, finally came up.
Where's the breakout room now?
I'm just waiting for everyone to come back from the breakout rooms. And then
Yeah, I think it's kicking us out.
All right, guys, let's go over it. So if I run this in let's say I run this in Node. Let's run this in Node. All right, so Node 10, what's going to print out? Right, it's 5 times, right? Oh, guys, just going to grab your attention, right? It's going to print 5 times right now, right? So why doesn't it print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Like, why is it printing 5 times, Maricel? It's an asynchronous issue, right? So let's take a look at this for loop first, right? So let's just go over this for loop right here. What's this for loop going to do, Nick?
For loop?
Yeah.
We'll loop through 5 times.
And then what's going to print out on line 2?
High.
5 times, right? But what's going to print out on line 5?
What we'll print out on line 5 is probably 5.
5, right? And I just realized I have all the answers below everything. So, but it prints out 5 here. Why does it print out 5 here? Let's go over the for loop, right? So first I0 is 0 less than 5, yes. So it's going to print out high, right? And then we're going to increment 1, right? So now I is 1 less than 5, yes. So it's going to print out high. Increment I, 2 is 2 less than 5, yes. Print out high. Increment I, 3 is 3 less than 5, yes. Print out high. Increment I is 4 less than 5, yes. Print out high. Increment I is now 5. Is 5 less than 5? No, so it does not print out I. We print out I, it's 5, right? That last increment right before the condition fails, it still works. Like it's still increasing I. And I, because I is global in this context, right? Because it's outside of all function calls, we can access it right here and we print out 5 right here. So that's why I is 5. That's why I is 5 after this for loop ends, right? But why is it 5 times here? Why isn't it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4? Maricel said it's an asynchronous issue. This for loop finishes faster than this first set timeout. The first set timeout happens after this for loop ends, right? So this is 1 millisecond, right? But 1 millisecond is lower than this for loop, right? The for loop finishes faster than 1 millisecond. And because this for loop finishes faster, I is 5 after the for loop ends, and it prints out 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Questions on that? Why am I even showing you this? I mean, one benefit is that this is another stupid interview question, right? So it's another question that I've gotten on interviews and have gotten wrong. I got this one wrong. Why? Because like you never freaking do this ever. Yeah, I mean the only way you learn those things is either you take a class or you fail an interview or two. But another reason why I'm showing you this is because when you use es6, this is no longer an issue, right? When you use es6, it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Pavan, are we looking at 2 different files? I mean, I'm sorry I was late. Maybe I missed something, but I don't even see the word high in this file.
Oh, no, I was jumping to line to 12.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll only go over the for loop.
Okay.
Yeah, so I jumped to 12 for a moment. Thanks for asking, though. Appreciate that. Yeah, so go ahead, Mary. Mm-hmm. Oh, you got only 1 5 in the console? Because it says 5 next to the 5, right? Yeah, so it's funny because they tried to make it easier, right? I guarantee there was some product manager that was like, I see, we got to make this better. But then it's not. Yeah. And this just goes over the entire process right here, right? Step by step, what I just went over. Essentially, just think of this for loop is faster than 1 microsecond. And because of that, is that micro or millisecond? Millisecond. 1 millisecond, not microsecond. Or it might be faster than 1 microsecond, I don't know. But this happens before this happens. So that's why I is 5, and it prints out 5 on the first set timeout, 5 on the second set timeout, third, fourth, fifth. Any questions on this?
This is like how to not fail an interview for dummies.
not for dummies, for anyone. Yeah. But also, a big reason why I'm showing you this is because this won't be an issue anymore. When you use arrow syntax, ES6 arrow syntax right here, then it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It'll be what you think it should be.
What's the logic of pretend if you put console log after the 1, it's still in the for loop, you get the 0, 1, 2.
Oh yeah, because if I put console log right here,
No.
or after, I mean right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't matter whether it's before or after, right? But if I put it right here, this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The reason why this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is going to be 5, 5, 5, 5 is because this is happening after the for loop, and this is happening during the for loop, during each iteration, right here. It's a good question. Because this is happening during each iteration, it's going to be whatever it is, but this is happening after the for loop, and I is 5 at that point. Other questions about this? Hey, go ahead, Nick.
We kept getting a return of a number that just kept adding 5 to it, and then afterwards there was like a greater than, a less than sign, and it's like it just would go like from 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and on and on.
That makes no sense, man.
Huh?
Really?
And then there was a second number with a less than sign that was always 5
Where were you guys running this though?
in the console.
I just ran in the console.
We'll just run it a few times. Not in the terminal, in the browser.
Oh, the reason why. Okay. All right. So it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know why it would do what you're saying. If you ran this okay, so here's what might be happening. Guys, don't think too deeply about it, right? The reason why it's happening is because I's 5 right now, right? If there was another set timeout right here, maybe it printed out, maybe the I's got collisioned and it was incrementing a previous I from 5 to a higher number by accident because you kept running this. Don't think about it too deeply. All I was trying to convey here was that this won't happen in ES6. That's what I'm trying to convey to you. That's it. That's the purpose of showing you this. Nick, you're saying that if you ran this in the HTML console, right? I'm gonna go ahead and do it, but
The V8 engine over and over. The asynchronous function doesn't think of I as being reset to 0 and going to 5. It just keeps outputting like. Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to make the class about this because I'm not going to be able to explain this. All I'm trying to convey here in this file, all you have to take away for now, if you guys want to figure that out afterwards, then happy to let you do that. But just know that when you use arrow syntax, which we'll learn today, this doesn't happen anymore. It's the way it should be.
You can even use the let instead of the bar. it'll perform that same.
Yeah, that'll work also. That's another way of doing it. So over here, what's going to print out when I run line 5? Let's go to Haven. Alyssa, right? So Alyssa is going to print out when line 5 happens. And so we declare a variable name and we declare another variable name right here. And this is something you can write in ES5, which is very confusing because in other languages, it'll throw like you already defined this variable, right? You can't redefine the variable. But in ES5, you can do that. If you use strict, then it won't let you do this. In ES6, when we use ES6, this isn't allowed anymore. You can't write line 3 anymore. Of course, you could write it like this. You can write that, right? But you can't write line 3 anymore like this in ES6. right? It'll throw an error, whereas in ES5, it doesn't throw an error. I think I understood what you're saying. It's a teacher, and then something. All right, so now we're going to finally use ES6 right here. So over here, if you use instead of the word var, you use the word let, right, to define this variable name. It will throw an error on the next line if you try to redeclare a name. Now, it'll say syntax error identified name has already been declared right here. So this is our first real ES6 that we're doing today, other than the string interpolation. So let's try that right now inside that HTML file. And then over here, I'll do var a equals hello, throws an error. Identifier a has already been declared. All right, it's not going to let you redefine a variable named a. Of course, it'll let you update the value of a, right? But it's not going to let you redeclare it right here, right? Why am I showing you this? I mean, just showing you the differences between let and var, right? I'm going to try to show you all the difference between let and var. So now over here, it's the same situation. If I make a variable named name with let in front of it, and put Simon in, and then I make another variable right here, named name, with let in front of it, with Alyssa, it's going to throw the same error as before because we already declared it, right? I mean, are these things that you would do in JavaScript where you would do var name equals something and then a var name equals something? Probably not. We would never do this. But I'm just trying to show you the differences between let and var, why should I be using let ever? Now over here, we have let I equals 3 and then I equals blue. This is going to print out blue, right? Just to reiterate that we can't update the value of a let. You can update the value of a let, and that's fine. Now, over here, did I go over this already?
So you can update the value of a let?
Yeah, just like this.
Okay.
Right, let I equals 3, I equals blue. It's going to print out blue right here. You can update the value of let. I think I already went over this, how this turns into 5. Let's see, I think I already went over that. Yeah, right here. So over here, this will this throw? Yeah, okay. So over here, line 1, I is blue, right? And over here, I is 0. And it looks like this should clash with this, but lets are tightly scoped. It's kind of crazy. Over here, you would expect I to be 5, but it's not. It's blue. But inside here, it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you have a for loop or an if statement or a while statement with lets, the let kind of is scoped inside of it.
Repeat that again,
It's like
please.
a function. Go ahead, William.
Yeah, repeat that again, please.
Yeah, so this let right here is different from the let inside of here, right? This let right here is the same as this I right here is the same as this I right here, whereas this I is only belongs to the for loop. So when you make a let, it's basically tightly scoped. And this is how Java works. Java works like this. They're trying to make it as friendly as possible for more developers to come into JavaScript.
Thanks, man.
No problem. And Haven mentioned it kind of acts like a function, and that's very true. Right. So
I was gonna say, is there any way they can apply that function? kind of similar, but you just said it, so yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like a function. Yeah, so if you guys want to try another language after this, like Java, or I mean Java's gross, but I mean there are a lot of jobs in Java, right? So you could use Java or C#. C#'s like a big language, especially if you guys get into VR, right? Highly recommend you don't just be a JavaScript developer because it's kind of hard to make it, you know? It's kind of like, I don't know, starving JavaScript developer, right? Kind of hilarious. But I mean, it's good. The class is good, right? You learn a base knowledge, but you kind of just like gravitate towards a field where it's a little bit more specialized. Or a lot of free pizza, right? Yeah, I went to an event in Microsoft because the VR center for Microsoft is on Third and Folsom. It's like pretty near, like 20-minute walk from here. And they ordered, I think, 100 Domino's pizzas. And remember that?
Yeah.
It was like 100 Domino's pizzas, and then 50 brownie pizzas, and then they were like there were so many left over.
Yeah.
It was insane.
It was only attended by
40 people. Yeah. So you could feed yourself for a while. Extremely unhealthy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there's also something called const instead of let. And const, it almost acts like a constant. It's not exactly a constant, but it acts like a constant. So over here, when I say const n equals 3, it also acts very much like a let. It's tightly scoped. It has no hoisting. You can't redeclare it. But over here, with a constant, you can't update the value either. So over here, if I try to update the value of n, it says assignment to constant variable. Throws that error. So you have these two new words now, let and const. And I have a few more examples over here. Line 20, it's the same deal. If you make a string and put into a constant, it's going to throw that error, right? So I start off s equals high, now s is by, but it throws an error assignment to constant variable. Right? Yeah, const is es6, let is es6. Yeah. Yeah, so whether it's a Boolean, right? Now it's going to throw an error if it's a Boolean. Now with arrays, it's a little different, right? With arrays, it's a little different. So with an array, if I make an array and make it a const and I try to reassign it, it's going to give me the same error, right? Assignment to a constant variable. So I can't update an array to a new array, right? I can't update it to something else. But here's the thing: if I make an array constant, right? I'm in file 23 right now. If I make an array constant, I can push a value into it. Like I can modify the contents of this. I can delete all the elements inside the array, and that's fine, right? I just can't reassign something to it. I can't reassign and update the entire thing. But I can add stuff into it. I can update values inside of it. That's fine for a constant array. So that's why for a const array, that's why it's not really a constant, because if it was a constant, then I wouldn't be able to modify anything or add to it at all, right? But it's kind of a constant. Yeah, a constant would be much more strict, but we don't have constants. Yeah. I mean, I guess like the thing is like normally in math you'll have constants, right? Like you'll have like the speed of light or whatever. And oh man, I was watching this one YouTube channel. I know this is totally not relevant, but Science Asylum. This guy's amazing. He's like
writing's not that.
This is an amazing YouTube channel. He talks about like how certain planets actually appear like they're traveling faster than the speed of light, and he goes over black holes and stuff. It's just really cool, and he's really funny. Anyway, back to this. Right, so If you have a const that's an array or an object, you can modify the stuff inside. But if you did have a number, like the speed of light or pi or something, you could assign that to const, and then that would be a constant. You can't modify that because it's a number. So if you have a number, a Boolean, a string, you can have that as a constant, but not like an array or an object, because you can modify the insides of it. So it's not like a true constant. Questions on this? Yeah. Oh, you use the word constant or const? Const, okay.
How do I make sure that I'm on ES5 or ES6?
Yeah, so I'll say a lot of the features in ES6 are available in the browser right now, right? A lot of them are available, but not all of them are there. Yeah, const, string interpolation, const let is there right now. Certain things aren't there, and then for those things that aren't available, you have to use Babel to convert. You take the ES6 code, you convert it to ES5 code, and then you use the ES5 code. Like, why would you do that? Because writing it is so much better and easier. You can write such better code with ES6 than you can with ES5. So that's why people still choose to do it. And it's fine to write your code with ES6. That's fine, right? I'm just so used to writing ES5 because the majority of his class is ES5. So I just always stay in ES5, unfortunately, or write in Ruby or Python. Okay. Which file was I in? Yeah, so this will throw an error right here. I make a constant array, I set it to this array, and then I try to change it to the number 3. This is going to throw an error. No matter what I put on line, no matter what I put right here, after this equal sign, it's going to throw an error, no matter what I put, because I'm trying to reassign a value into a const variable. Questions on this? If this was the word var, it's kind of nuts, but it would let you do this on line 5, right? And that could throw so many errors, right? It could screw up so many things in your code. But if you make this a const, this thing won't let you do this. Okay, so line 20, I'm exercise 25 over here. Arrays and objects work very similarly with consts. Over here, I have an object named OB, name : Priscilla, and this is going to throw an error, right? If I try to reassign the value of OB to anything, if I put a number here, if I put a Boolean here, if I put an array here, empty object, or a brand new object with stuff inside, it's going to throw an error, right? It's going to say assignment to constant variable. Whereas this is fine. I can add a key into it saying class full stack web dev, right? I can add stuff to this. I can modify the values inside this object, but I can't reassign something to it. All right, so I'm going to stop right now. I want you guys to go through the files I just went over with your partners. Just take a look through them, play with them, and then we'll continue on from 26 downwards. What's up?
So with hoisting, if I understand it correctly, it just means that your program will still execute even if your variable declaration is below where you're using that.
Unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately,
That's like the only purpose it's in.
it's I don't know if it's a purpose. I feel like it's like a bug.
All right.
Because they fixed it and with lets and consts and in the new JavaScript. Yeah. So some people argued that it has purpose, but like if they fixed it, you know, it's like I don't know. I don't know what to say other than like it's obvious that
It's hard to imagine a use case.
yeah, I don't see a use case for it at all. Unfortunately. No one really does. Other questions that came about. Yeah, Sandy. Mhm. Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, this was just something I wrote. You could write anything. Dot doc equals dentist. I don't know. Yeah. Is a dentist not a doctor? Is that wrong?
She said dog, not
Oh, dog.
dog.
Okay. Dog. Yeah, I'd rather play with a puppy than go to the dentist. Oh, it's kind of nuts. A friend of mine, he's a dentist, and he sold his practice to this guy, and his wife, he sends his wife there. Not sends his wife, you know, his wife goes there on her own accord. and then his wife was like, "Oh, I have to get like, you know, surgery or whatever," and he was like, "You have to get surgery." And he was taking a look at her teeth, and he was like, "I don't think you do." He sent her to some other dentist, and turns out like the guy was just like selling fake diagnoses. And apparently this is a common thing. So if you go to a dentist, there's like all this stuff that you have to get, just get a second opinion, you know, just to make sure. That was scary because I just always just said, "Oh, okay." But I guess now
They're incentivized by the insurance.
yeah, I mean it
Not the
sucks.
actual-
Yeah. And then when you look up on Reddit, like how do you avoid that? They just say, "Oh, go to a doctor, go to a dentist that doesn't accept insurance," and it's like, okay,
Just find an
that's not good.
Just find an honest dentist. I mean, the mechanic will do the same thing for you.
Yeah, and it's tough though. Like, the key is to get a second opinion and do a ton of work. I only bring that up because I thought she said dentist or doctor. All right, so this one right here does something. Saeed, what does this code do? It's going to give us 15. So just explain the code right here. Like, what's the name of this function? Mult. How many arguments does it take? 2 arguments. Excellent. Then take those 2 arguments, multiply them, return that value. And over here, what's in here? Excellent, right? We're going to call the function mult. We're going to pass 5 in for A. We're going to pass in 3 in for B. And then product is going to be 57. We're going to print it out right here, right? Good. Perfect. Right. A function ES6 would look like this now. Very similar. So we have the word function right here. We don't have the word function here. So over here, I'm saying const, right? You can say const or let. I mean, I'm saying const won't expect to override this function, right? Like you put const there if you don't expect to override it. And so in most cases, functions should be const. Mult, we're taking in 2 arguments right here, A, B, and then we're using arrow syntax. And it's going to act the same way. It's going to have some special abilities, though. It's going to have some special abilities, and we'll see that going down. So you could also write this as a one-line, right? So I could write this as a one-liner right here. So previously we wrote this, and we have to write the word return on line 2, But let's just say, because this is just one line of code right here, we could write this in one line, and we don't have to write the word return. So you could write arrow syntax like this, and this will automatically return this value right here. It'll automatically return A times B on line 1. Okay, so now what I want you guys to do, takes a string and reverses it, write it in ES5, write it in ES6. Returns the reverse of it. And you can totally refer to 27, 28 if you want to. 27 and 28 will help you. we'll do another 2 minutes. See where everyone's at. All right, guys, let's go over it. So we'll write this in ES5. Write this in ES5 right now. So let's go to Saeed's row. Function. Good name. Mm-hmm. Good. Oh, what the hell did I do? Oh, return. Good. Right, return this. And then, so that's with ES5. And we can take a look at the syntax again for the one-liner ES6. So we could write this in one line. Be a long one-liner, but still would work. Right there. That's how you would write an ES6. Another way of writing an ES6 is doing it aligned. But we would have to outright say the return in that one. Oh. Right here. So a few different ways of doing this. Right here. You could do it in one line, and although this doesn't look like one line, now it does. You could do it in one line. The only reason you could do it in one line is because it is one line right here. Or you could do it in multiple lines. Right? And this is how you do it in ES5. So if we go into Node, I could show you exactly why it's split and join. So if I do hello like that, and I do dot split, it puts the whole word hello in the array. But if I put quotes into it, it takes each letter and puts it into the array. And if I try doing hello dot reverse, it'll give me an error. It says reverse is not a function because reverse is only an array function. I can split, and it reverses the elements inside of it. Now if I do dot join on that, it joins it, but it keeps the commas in there. So if I put join and if I put quotes and join, then it reverses it right there. Questions on this? Oh, what's Vsauce? Oh, it's a science channel? Okay, cool. Well, I'm assuming, Alan, that, okay, cool, awesome. I was like, please don't be something else. Yeah, Joe Rogan, I have to get into him. It's crazy. I read his bio. He was a karate champion, kickboxing champion. And I'm like, oh, that explains all the UFC stuff. Because I thought he was a comedian, and then he became a champion person. And I was like, that's such a weird trajectory.
Is this the guy who does the science channel?
Oh, no, Joe Rogan. The guy does a channel. I don't think does UFC. Yeah.
Joe Rogan?
Joe Rogan, yeah. Questions on this? Questions on this right here? All right, guys, lunch. Come back. 12:50. Oh no, dude. Fernando, he did kickboxing at 19, and then yeah.
You'll actually be in Mountain View or
Yeah.
here pretty soon.
Oh, what'd you say?
Oh, Joe Rogan. On his comedy tour pretty soon.
Oh, nice.
He's gonna be at the shoreline, right?
I don't know. I used to watch him on TV. He was like for a bunch of different things. I used to watch him all the time. I had no idea that he was like some karate champion.
Dude, bro.
He's really big into sensory deprivation. So he likes tanks.
They have that in San Francisco.
Oh, they have that in San Francisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it without someone on the outside.
Yeah, you can get claustrophobic real quick.
I don't want to just be trapped inside.
It's like being in the car.
Yeah. Okay. Catch you guys soon. We'll be back at 12:50. Let's see. Zoom.